Board of Directors, New Jersey School Board's Board of Directors meeting Friday night down in Clinton. I'll be attending that, and then December 10th, Saturday, we have the Delegates Assembly down in Mercer County.
Okay.
I'll be attending.
Very good, thank you for that, Mr. Scarnio. I also did want to mention, I'm not sure if it made it before the meeting started, but we had attempted earlier in the day to post the agenda online. I don't know, did it make it?
Yes.
We had
It was
some,
late,
we had some difficulties trying to get it posted from
it's a learning
remote
curve.
locations, right, from remote locations. For the future, moving to the future, the agenda will be posted online. I'd like to finish, hopefully by 4:30 or so in the afternoon. I just wanted to get the time in so that everybody could hear, because that's when board members receive their last update, is approximately. So somewhere between 4:30 and dinner, you might want to just check, if you're looking for the agenda, to check for it then, okay? Thank you very much. Nothing else from board members? Nothing else? Okay. Again, we come to the portion of the meeting that is for public comment. I'll remind you again, it's 3 minutes. Please stand, state your name, your address. If you are speaking on behalf of someone else or a different group, please state who that is. We'll be speaking for a grand total of 30 minutes. And once we are all finished, there may be some answers that we can give you this evening. There may be no answers that you're going to get, but we welcome your comments. So at this point, again, I will open it up to the public. Yes, ma'am.
Monica Palestis, 393 West Blackwell Street, Dover, New Jersey. I want to first of all say that I really enjoyed the presentations tonight. I think that it was informative. I wish that, we've got a pretty good group, but I wish it could have been an even larger group. I'd like to thank you very much for hearing the concerns about putting the agenda on, and really say thank you to the board for getting that on a Monday, because this way, one of the things that I was thinking about the presentations, and I wasn't sure whether it's sent out in the menu-gram because I wouldn't be getting that, but when we have presentations like this and the park presentation that we had last week, letting the community know in advance so that they can come and hear all the good things that are happening would just be terrific. So at least having that on a Monday afternoon,
I just wanted to correct you. It's not Monday afternoon. It's Tuesday afternoon
Oh.
at 4 to 4:30 is
Okay.
when we receive
I know
our
you
last
meant,
agenda.
I know that you meant
Okay,
the day
I just wanted to
of the
clarify for
agenda.
someone else who
I
might think
have-
Monday.
No, I have it in my
Sorry
mind of
about that.
another board meeting, I'm so sorry, but I know that you meant the day of the meeting, so I really, really appreciate the board hearing that, and hopefully we can also, when those things go up, if we're going to have presentations, such as the park presentation and the wonderful presentations we had this evening, we could find out about that too, so thank you very much.
Very good, thank you. Anyone else?
Diana Grisales, 94 Orem Drive. I wanted to ask, I don't know if I can, in regards to the presentation with the departments, are most of the, I believe I got the sense that most of the privileges or the great work that you guys are doing are available to the students in the learning community. Are they available and open to all the other students who don't participate in them? So I was just curious if that is something that's available to
Could you
everyone.
clarify? I'm not sure I understand what you mean.
So, for example, the performance and arts presentation, going to the shows and doing all of those strips that the children were able to do it. Is that only for the children in the learning community, or is it open to all other students?
That's not the learning community, just for clarification. That's the fine and performing arts, I think that you're talking about. Right, that's not the learning community.
Right, so that's just that academy. So is that only open to those students?
Right, I'm just clarifying what you use, because
Okay, thank
two
you.
different things.
Okay, so that's my question. I wanted to know if it's just specifically for the children or the students who are in those specific tracks, or is it to everyone else? That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Hi.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Karen Herrera, 128 Princeton Avenue in Dover. And I also am a teacher in Morris County, bilingual teacher. So it was nice seeing the presentation by the supervisor, Mr. Hector Quinones. And actually, my question, I think, would be more for him. I'm not sure if anyone else on the board might be able to answer, but I'm curious to know if the district, are there district-wide guidelines regarding bilingual, or does the administrator in each school facilitate and implement the structure in their building? So basically, what is the structure for the bilingual classroom? Is instruction given in Spanish, half in Spanish, half in English? Is it based on the data, for example, WIDA scores? Which kind of leads to the next question. Students, it is my understanding that students in elementary school have combo classes. 3rd and 4th grade are in one classroom, 5th and 6th grade are in one classroom. So they're combined classrooms. And if there are enough students in each grade level, is it possible to have one classroom for each grade level? Because what happens with the combo classes is usually, one group of students is not receiving full instruction. For example, if you have a 3rd and 4th grade combo class, you're either teaching more content, 3rd grade content or 4th grade content. The same goes for the 5th and 6th grade combo classes. And there's only one teacher in this classroom teaching 2 grade levels. There's no aide, and there are nearly 30 students in these classrooms. So I just wanted to know.
1 minute.
Yes, okay. And I think you kind of answered this in the presentation. Last question. Is the bilingual program used as a transitional ESL program aimed to mainstream students? Or is it a bilingual program with the objective of literacy in both languages? That was it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brian Lozano, 27 Guy Street. This kind of goes to Mr. Quinones was speaking about placement exams. He mentioned that there's been an influx of Hispanics or Latinos, ELL students in New Jersey. So my concern, or I'm wondering if there is evaluations, counseling, or special education to go along with the results of those placement exams. I don't know if y'all realize, but a lot of those students that are new ELL students are fleeing areas where there is war. They are victims of sexual harassment. So I think all of those things kind of, their emotional well-being, psychological well-being has a lot to do with their academic success in the long run. And this question is kind of twofold, because at the same time, maybe we don't have these, not pertaining to the ELL students specifically, but we do have a large immigrant population. And at this moment, given the political atmosphere, the immigrant community is a bit panicked. So I'm wondering if there is, what the school is doing to offer the parents of those children and those children who are affected directly by maybe future policies in politics, what we are doing to offer them counseling on behalf of the educators, counselors, administrators, support groups. So I'm wondering if there will be implementation of that in the future, and what we will be doing as a community.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Yes, Mr. Samini.
Frank Samini, 93 Prospect Street, Dover. Regarding the meeting, the county meeting on safety and security, I was wondering, just walking into the building, having done security surveys myself for residential, commercial, and municipal buildings, I've noticed several soft spots in the security in this building. Is anything in the plans to address those concerns? And if you need any help recognizing them, I'd be glad to volunteer my services. So, as far as I'm concerned, the only thing secondary to a good education is the safety and security of our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Kathy Gilbert, 105 Beach Street, Dover.
Yes, good evening.
I'm a product of the Dover schools, and after a 30-year career in international banking and living all over the place, I moved back to Dover in 2002 to teach here. And I had 13 wonderful years of teaching, 12 of them at ESL and 1 teaching 4 levels of French. I always appreciated the board members' participation in school activities, always ensure that the students had the best possible experience they could have. Unfortunately, in the summer of 2015, I underwent heart surgery, and recovery was complicated by some other issues, and I made it impossible to return to teaching, so I retired on disability in February of 2016. I've always given a great deal of time and energy to Dover students and the community. And this past summer, I was contacted by some concerned parents, and the parents introduced me to the 2 women who were running for the Board of Education. I had never met them prior to the time the parents contacted me. I attended the candidates, meeting, the candidate event, to hear their ideas, and I liked what I heard. Unfortunately, 2 of my chronic conditions leave me with balance problems and unpredictable dizziness when I stand. Last Sunday, I attended a public event which included approximately 100 local people and community leaders. At that event, a Board of Education member who recently ran for re-election and won behaved very disrespectfully toward me, and in fact put me in serious danger of being injured. As I was leaving my table and approaching a guest at another table, she aggressively charged toward me, even though she saw that I have mobility issues and walk with a cane. I was about to fall when a gentleman standing behind me steadied me and prevented the fall. He commented that what she did was clearly deliberate, not accidental. As she approached me, she uttered some foul language and indicated, and indicated that the board does not appreciate my putting up 2 outside candidates for the board, because the board would like to get rid of them and replace them with their own people. A bit later, as I was preparing to leave, the same board member advised that the board was finished with getting rid of the 2, when they finished with getting rid of the 2 ladies using words that refer to dogs, she would see that I lost my pension from politicking. More bad language followed. She was obviously trying to intimidate me. Another guest house who she asked who she was, and I said a member of the Board of Education. It is inappropriate and illegal for an individual board member to threaten, bully, or harass a current or retired district teacher. Furthermore, her foul language is totally inappropriate at a gathering of civilized people in the community, especially from an elected official responsible for the education of our youth. As a resident and taxpayer of Dover, I have every right to support and vote for the candidates of my choice. Furthermore, the pension is paid by the state of New Jersey, not the Dover Board of Education.
I'm sorry, your time's up.
Okay, I would appreciate an apology.
Thank you very much for your comment. Anyone else from the public?
Good evening. Thank you, Ms. Schauer, for your warm welcome, and thank you to those of you that I saw as I entered today for your warm welcome. Congratulations to Ms. Joanne Dodd for her win, and congratulations to Ms. Kim Phillips, and I am honored and thankful to our community for a historic election in Dover in many, many ways.
If you could just
I
name
am
and address, I'm sorry.
98 Prospect Street, Carol Ruiz. I'm so impressed with our educators today that it had a special place in my heart for Mr. Quinones, because I myself was also an English as a second language learner, and he and I went to school together, and some of the students that have been his students or are in his program, I have known personally, so I was really happy to hear of all the progress of those students. I'm also excited to hear about the focus on civil rights education. Of course, in these political times, that is very important, and civics education is very important. I'm excited to know that through the help of the Gilder Lehrman Institute, we are incorporating or strengthening that in our schools. I'd like to know if all teachers are getting this training, or if there's a select group that gets the Gilder Lehrman Institute training. And I'd also like to echo Ms. Diana Grisales' question about whether all students benefit from some of the perks and privileges we have from the Playhouse, I got that wrong, but for the performing, I'm not a performing arts student. For the Performing Arts Academy, I would love to have all our students have access to some of these plays and support them with education or scholarships or grants, and I would love to explore how we can open up the arts a little more, especially as we saw in the last meeting, how the state is requiring us to focus on the PARCC test, and I love the idea of having our Performing Fine Arts Academy support that. I also would want to make sure that all our students, not just our very bright and deserving students of the Learning Academy, have access to as much as possible, whether that's iPads or plays or an AP honors class. And I'd love to learn more about how that honors program and learning community program is working. I'd love to see these presentations in Spanish as well. Our community is at least 84% a community of people of color, which includes, as Mr. Becker pointed out, 27 different languages, the majority of which are Spanish. And while our children, thanks to the great ELL program, do speak English and Spanish, many of their parents speak primarily Spanish. So I'd love to see this meeting and all of our meetings have translation services automatically and not just on request, but certainly I like that the translation services are available, and there are Spanish presenters available, and we can invite them as well.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Please, public, please. Anyone else? Yes, in the back.
Kelly Oldham, 80 Princeton Ave. I just wanted to thank the board for approving the application for the Dover High School Football Boosters Powder Puff. We've been practicing this week. The kids are having an awesome time. We're looking forward to the game on Thursday night at 6. If anybody's available and like to come join us, it'll be a great night. And I have a question from the last meeting. I believe somebody had brought up something about a question to the use for recreation programs. The topic of insurance, being able to use the fields. Who is required to have insurance or provide insurance, naming the Board of Ed as a secondary or as an additional insured? And then another question off topic is, if somebody wanted to make a donation to Dover High School to be used as for scholarships primarily, is there somebody in particular that needs to be contacted to accept the donation?
Very good, thank you. Anyone else?
Rodney Lane, Prospect Street, Dover. Real quick, I had to adjust my speech because you guys have got the agendas up, so I took about 6 paragraphs off from that, so I thank you for that. That's good. Growing up in the 70s, some inspirational figures in my life were: 1, my family members, brothers, sisters, mother, father. 2 were, believe it or not, were superheroes, Batman, $6 Million Man, things of that nature. And 3rd was Dover public school teachers. Believe it or not, growing up, Academy Street School, these people were like saints to me. They worked hard. And from what I saw from the presentations, that continues. So the Dover Public School, are any teachers here today? Any teachers by any chance? I think they deserve a hand. They do a hell of a job. Thank you, because that helped me become what I am today. Some people may think that's bad, but I think it's good. Important request. This is something that I thought about, and this is just from hearing different things from different members of the community. Can we get some type of word or clarification from the board and the superintendent that there will be no retaliation against anyone, or their associates, family, etc., that chooses to exercise their right about certain policies, if they show up at a board meeting, if they participate at board meetings, if they speak to legalities or issues or legitimate concerns, or if they identify with different philosophies. Now, I didn't know this young lady was going to speak upon something of that, but there seems to be word of that, of different things. if you say the wrong thing, if you're seen with the wrong person, or if you show up at the wrong place, that there may be, I don't know for sure, but I'm asking if we can get the word of the board that this stuff is not tolerable and will not be tolerated. I think that is very important because there's as many people that we have here, there's about 4 times as much that wish to come, but there's something in their mind. I'm going to say in their mind because I don't know if it's true, of a fear of a consequence. So we want to get sure we're moving in the right direction. I just want to make sure that our community, my community, our community, is assured that nothing will happen to these people in any form of retaliation if they do appear or speak up. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Can we just ensure there's heat on if we're going to continue having our meetings in this room in the evening? Because I'm shivering. Carol Ruiz, 98 Prospect Street. Or that it's turned up for, I mean, I've got my coat on, so I'm not quite sure what more I can do.
Anyone else from the public?
Okay, Valerie Williams, the Borough of Victory Gardens. I just wanted to say that I am so proud as an alumni of Dover Schools to see what's going on now. We're actually communicating with each other and you're investing more into the population and the community as a whole. Trying not to get emotional about it. I'm over there looking at Bob Becker over there because I remember you in high school. Yes, swinging from in the gym, you remember.
Also, Mr. Lane too, at Academy Street.
Oh, Jesus.
Yes.
I remember your whole family, Joyce.
Yeah, we got the lanes run deep. I'm sorry.
That's okay. When was it that I started Youth 2000? It was a program for special needs children, and I came up here and I wanted to do a program, a pilot program actually. I didn't have a degree at the time, but I was a parent of a child with special needs, and it was something that we needed. Listening to Mr. Quinones, he was expressing his heart and things that he needed. Mr. Becker also extended that to me back in the 90s, where it was like something that was needed and someone who was going to do it for free. We actually incorporated the program and it was successful and all the children in the program graduated. I just want to encourage everybody to just stay focused to, what's really going on. I mean, we're living in a different time right now, okay? We don't have time to fight amongst each other and all the other things that could happen or have happened. We need to start really focusing on the kids because they are watching. Thanks.
Very good, thank you. Anyone else this evening? Okay, go ahead. The young lady in the back has not spoken yet.
Go.
So,
Thank you, Diana.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Angela Ramos Gama, 326 Washington Avenue. As a parent of special children, I would like to know what the Board of Dover Education is doing for the special children, because I'm being here for already 2 years, or almost 2 years, and is no any programs for special children's? Special education. Yes, this is Christopher, this is my son. He's in 5th grade, and as you know, this week is the American Visitors. I was in the school this week, and I had the opportunity to be in the classroom at the special, and it's sad to find out inclusion is not being one of the progress in the program. As you know, the IPs, they have to have inclusion in general education, and they try to, I'm kind of a little nervous, but they try to do the program this year as the children can have the classes in the grades they are, but they are not included in the general education. And by law, they should be included in general education, but at least for the specials. So technology is not included as a general education. And sad, I saw a child didn't do good in the classroom, and the teacher took the laptop away from him. And this student was for 40 minutes just doing anything in the classroom, just sitting there between 2 children. So that was not my son, but that happens before with him too. So I would like to ask, and if you don't have the answer right now, what are you gonna do to try to include these children with better programs for them? Because there is no sports, it's no activities, it's anything for them. to be included.
Okay, thank you, that's.
I'm sorry, another thing too. Talking about.
One minute.
Thank you. Great presentation, everything, I mean, nothing is bad. But Mr. Quiñones was talking about the translation in meetings. So as a parents of special education teachers, some of them, some parents doesn't speak English. So they don't have any translation sometimes for going to the IP meetings, or they don't have any translation for a conference, like the park conference. So sometimes we try to help each other, but it's a big barrier. So what are you gonna do about that? Because it's been for 3 years and I didn't see any events and anything. I've been thinking pulling out my kid out of the school, but he's really happy to be here, so I want to make him be happy too. And the number 14 and 16 in Mr. Quiñones' presentation, he stated has, the school provides translators for the parents, but maybe for the general education, but not for the special parents. We are.
Okay, thank you very much for your question. Anybody else? Okay, at this point, I will close the public portion of the meeting. Thanks very much, everyone, for coming out. I will turn it over to Mr. Becker in one moment. I did just want to respond in reference to Sunday's event that I'm guessing was the Historical Society dinner,
Yes.
I'm guessing. And as far as I know, and being the board president, I think I would have been told, no one attended that meeting representing the Board of Education. There were public members who attended, who happened to be on the Board of Education, and we never separate ourselves from our position. We are always Board of Education members. But just so that it's clear, we did not send anyone to the meeting as a representative of the Board of Education, so I did want to clarify that. I'll answer a couple of things off the top of my head for Ms. Bixler in the back in reference to the scholarships. You can contact the business office, Ms. Jenish, and she can tell you the process for the scholarships and how we can receive those. And in reference to the insurances for any Board of Education property that is used, if it is not a school group, if it is not a booster club, well, actually, even some of the booster clubs also have to present their insurance, exactly. And for almost every single thing, I know, for example, when the band boosters have their clothing drive outside here at the senior entrance, they fill out a use of facilities form for that, and they supply insurance for that. So I cannot think of a situation where there would not be insurance provided by necessity for any group. PTAs are different because those are inside the school and those are under the umbrella of the school. But for booster clubs, recreation must. I think that's right now, we even have school boards. New Jersey School Boards is going to be here on February 8th. They had to provide us with the use of facilities application and their insurances. When the unions need to meet, the labor relations need to use our facilities for meeting, they fill out a use of facilities application. Sometimes even for some of the special classes, I believe, they fill out, if they need to use a different room than what they are normally in, they'll fill out a use of facilities application. They, of course, do not need to supply insurance, but for most of anyone outside of the building, they do need to supply us with insurance.
Just to clarify, each particular group has to provide their own.
Their own,
You
correct.
can't piggyback on one another, correct?
That would be something between the two of you and what your bylaws, exactly, and your insurance companies state. There have been situations in the past where, say, some group came in and co-partnered on something. That's between the two of them. We would have to have one insurance, and both names would then have to be on it, so that anyone with either group would be covered. Okay? And off the top of my head, that's all that I can answer at this point. Mr. Becker, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Mr. Schoonmaker, you want to take it? All right, we'll try to go through the list and see. First of all, yes, in terms of insurance, every group does have to have insurance. It is part of the regulation, even when we don't charge a facility fee, which we basically don't for most groups that are connected with the schools. Under the equal access, what we do for one, we have to do for all. And because we have neighborhood house, we don't charge neighborhood house any money for tuition, not tuition, I'm sorry, for use of the facility, but they do pay the insurance part of it. And that's why every group that we have that does use our facilities
And I
has to
definitely
pay that
understand
part.
why. I was just curious if, just to clarify, that each group had to provide their own, it wasn't, you know.
That's why if it got to a point where we had to charge one group, we would have to charge all groups. And that's the balancing act that I think most districts play. Excuse me, Ms. Plastis, thank you very much for your comments tonight regarding the presentation. I thought they were really good, they were really excellent, and it was nice hearing that comment about some of the presentations that happened. We didn't have that last week. Mr. Bullock did an outstanding job tonight, and I think it's important to have a longitudinal view of the sports program and the truth behind in terms of the use of fields. Many of you, if you go back in history, remember when our soccer fields were nothing but dirt and rocks. Our football field was almost hazardous to play on. We couldn't use a track because it was originally built, I guess, in the early 1900s, some people bringing cinder from their furnaces. That's how the original track was built. I did not help build that one, I was close. But that's how that was done. So we couldn't even have track meets. In fact, when many of us went to school here, we couldn't have one track meet or competition in our schools, and many of you went to school remember that. I mean, Kathy and I go back to the bonfires out in the corner here when we used to have our pep rallies. And it was nice we had a bonfire because it was pretty hard to play any sports on those fields. If you remember, Kathy, at the baseball field out here, when you went to catch a fly, you would disappear over the head and you never saw people again. So I think, and I really appreciated earlier tonight talking with Carol, because I think we agree very sincerely that there has to be a time for healing, a time for a positive outlook, and a time to continue moving the district forward instead of having the animus between different sections with some of the comments and the criticisms. You know, we can always do better, and we should do better, and we will do better. But I think sometimes we just have to stop and say, look at how far we've come. That podium was my father's. He bought that in 1956. I graduated in 1970. This isn't the same high school that I graduated from. It's not the same high school Mr. Lane graduated from. This high school is completely evolved in the last 12 years. And we've really gone to the core of every program, every bit of our facility, and tried to make the school better just so we could be considered equal by those around us. And I think we're succeeding in that. So that's why, Ms. Plessis, when you commented on the presentations, I really did appreciate that. Cynthia, the Gilder Lerman, I finally get that right? I got to meet a lot of the presenters in there. There's some national world-class leaders that have been coming to this. They're outstanding presentations, and she has done a superb job putting us at the forefront, which we never get credit from. Why don't we? We have to do a better job at publicizing it, but I think hopefully now the community will start coming together so you'll see that we're trying to support the community. We can do better in some aspects, and you can better support the schools. Cynthia's done an outstanding job, and I think our social studies department is second to none. Many schools are coming to see what we're doing, and sometimes, I know it sounds like heresy, but sometimes maybe we have to stop and take a little pride in what we're doing, and a little pride in the school, and a little pride in some of the programs that you never had before. Because if you're going to evaluate the district based on a matrix or a lens from the past, you're going to come up short because you're really not educated in terms of what's going on now. And that's why tonight is so important, and I think it's so valuable. Right, Valerie, I remember when we did work on that, and it was a great program for the kids who needed to work. And there could be more like that, but it was
There's
all
someone
about...
back there who...
Well,
There's a lady back there.
that's
who's
another issue, I'm
interested.
talking to you.
Okay, all right.
But I remember we went back, and there was no animus, it was an idea that we tried, and we had some bumps trying to get everything evened out, because, you know, things are much better in discussion and planning than they end up being, you know, we always had to work with the kids and their schedules. But it was a great opportunity, and I think we worked together around 1993.
Was it 90?
I think so, right around that area. But like I say, this is my 42nd year. Yeah, it's my 42nd year, so half of you
We're
still
still
look like
here.
kids to me. Mike Morgan, you know, Mike is a quiet guy, walks around this high school, but he's one of the best teachers that the students that have him are very fortunate to have. And these are the kinds of professionals that don't get the acclamation that they truly deserve. Mike, not only are you an excellent professional in terms of your teaching techniques and what you're doing, and iTunes U is like state-of-the-art stuff. That is really up there. He does a great job with it. And Mike, I'm just very proud that you're a part of this staff and you're a professional that we can all look up to and the kids can model themselves after. So, you know, when I look at things like this, go on down to Janet. Janet, the Fine and Performing Arts, the FAPA program, Fine and Performing Arts, is not a program for gifted and talented. It's for kids who have a love of the arts. Might they be in Broadway? Maybe, you know, we all have dreams, right? But the important thing is their entire high school program is focused around an area that they enjoy. So well, we could do the French Revolution. It was a topic they took a while ago. They studied the French Revolution. The English classes read the books and texts of the area. The art classes went over the paintings and the meanings of the paintings. The history department was doing the political aspects. We took the kids to New York to see the costume shops, and they got to see the clothing of the period. They went to see Les Mis as a final activity. That meant something to them. Our Health and Science Academy, that's not an honors program. That's a program for anybody who thinks they may have an interest in health and science. When you do your homework, you find out that most kids going into the health field, and it doesn't matter if it's going into nursing or phlebotomy or anything else, there are certain courses that they go to that are creating tremendous challenges for them. What we did is we sort of backward mapped it. Where do you go in college? What do we have to do to ensure our student success, and how can we promote that? So those kids, last year was the first year our Health and Science Academy finished the 4th year. Every one of those kids was accepted to college, a 4-year college, and most of them got very nice scholarships. That's a big deal, right? It is. And I think that we do have a lot of successes, and probably we should do more to publicize those. In terms of the arts going into the different programs, it depends on which programs we were talking about. The band, not the jazz band, the band went, we had a student who was honored. We took the kids down to Morristown to see the concert. The board paid for the whole ride for them. They paid for the admission tickets to honor the student who was being honored. That didn't matter if you were, what program you were in. When you went to see a lot of the shows or activities from Tiger Rap, you didn't have to be part of that. Anybody could go to the show if they signed up with Tiger Rap. So some of the curriculum-specific activities for the Fine and Performing Arts do involve the kids going to those activities. But that list was sort of all-inclusive of a lot of the other activities that we do send students to. And hopefully that'll continue to expand.
But that's not the only group in our district that goes to any of these plays or performances.
Oh, no.
Absolutely. Our younger students yearly, I think it's grade 3 and 4, go to Morristown, to the theater there to see various different things, Junie B. Jones.
Well, even a lot of different grades.
Exactly.
It's not just those.
That's at the elementary level.
Yeah.
And Tiger Rap, I have 3 kids that graduated through the Dover school system. Not one of them were in any honors program. They were, not one of them. My oldest special ed student, when she came to Dover, she barely got out of high school because she couldn't pass algebra. and she finally did. She couldn't pass algebra, so she finally did. But all three of them, through Tiger Rap and through the other classes that were there, just regular classes here, not one of them, like I said, was ever in the learning community or in any honors program. They went to more Broadway plays than I have been to in my 54 years, just in the 4 years that each of them have been here. Tiger Rap regularly goes to Broadway plays at very reduced price for the students. Sometimes it's really basically, I know at one point they were paying and then getting money back. They make them pay to hold the ticket so that they don't back out. So other classes have been to presentations and whatnot. It is not just the honors programs. I don't know where that misconception came from, but it's not just the honors programs. And you do not have to be an honors student to be in marching band, color guard, any of those programs. You do not have to be in the honors program. Sports programs. I'm sure that there is some sort of requirement for academic to keep your grades to the passing level, but there's no requirement to be in any honors program, to be in any of the extracurricular activities that I can think of. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No problem. In terms of the question about the bilingual program, it is a challenge for us. I'm not going to deny it. We have so many new students. We're constantly expanding. We hired several new teachers this year. We opened up several more classes. We do have some combination classes, but those combination classes have been around since we started the bilingual program, probably in the 1970s. I guess bilingual programs started around 78 to 82 in that area. But we continue to change and modify the program. The bilingual programs are submitted through the bilingual program plan. Mr. Quiones submits that to the Department of Education every year, and that's the process. It has to be all approved. It's not something each building can do differently or on their own. And so we submit that, that's approved, and that's how we function with the bilingual program. We've noticed recently, because we're a macro example of what's going on internationally, we have received quite a few new students lately, and we welcome them. In terms of, are they provided with services? Absolutely. I'm very concerned, as are the teachers, as are these administrators, of what the kids have gone through. A lot of it is dependent on the country that they've come and what they've suffered as a result. If you're coming from a country where it's an oil-based economic challenge, that's going to be a little different than a student coming from Honduras who maybe has seen a lot of strife within the area that he's come through. And you can't generalize about countries, I don't mean to do that, but you almost have to look at where is the child coming from, what has his experience been, and how can we best serve those needs? Because we can do everything we can to teach reading, but if a student has been molested on her way to this country, we have to do what we can to answer those needs. Last week we met with some representatives from Morristown, and actually we arranged for them to come out so we could offer crisis counseling to students coming in, and they promised me that they had counselors fluent in Spanish who would be able to help those students. So I share your concern. It's really important. And it's hard to work on academics when you have all these other layers that we have to hit. But I want to assure you, we're aware of it. I've been involved with it. The kids tell me what they've been through. And our job is to be compassionate with what they've been through, try to find ways that we can assist them, but then look at those academics and how can we better serve that child academically so they're not hamstrung by their past but have a hope for the future. So that's what we've been doing, and I appreciate your concern, and I just completely assure you that we share that. We've used Tiger Rap, we're using the, I don't want to say the agency because I'll probably get it wrong, but there are two agencies out of Morristown, one out of Morristown Hospital, that we have a meeting with them because we're trying to develop more linkages, not only for the students, but for the families that they're living with, because that's another big part of the picture. Especially if you're coming up and you're living with a family, perhaps they don't even know the child, perhaps they don't know the background of the child, perhaps they're getting frustrated. So we're trying to meet all these different layers of the challenges that each student has when they come to us. So I share your concern. I agree 100% with it, and it's something we're actively doing. I'm not going to sit and say everything is fine, no problem, we just have to teach them English, because there's so many other layers that we have to address to make them feel comfortable, to make them feel safe and secure, because only then are we going to be able to really accelerate the language skills that we have to do.
There's also mobile response, Mr. Becker. It's a hotline you can call for free. They'll come right to the school. If we are not already using them, we can.
Okay, we have several county meetings on safety and security. I appreciate your offer, Frank. We may take you up on it. We just met with the new safety manager in town. We're seeing what we can do to improve the safety, and we're looking at some safety elements of the school that we would love to incorporate. He seems very open and accessible, and hopefully we'll be able to move forward on I don't want to say everything, but we're even looking at the aerial mappings and the diagramming of classrooms that we can provide to patrol cars so they see the building when they come and they have everything outlined. Right now we have it in paper. We're trying to go to the next format so the first responders can respond with more alacrity. We don't have to waste time showing where to go. So,
and just so that the public does know, in the meeting that we spoke of the traffic safety around all of the schools. The police, Lieutenant Smith was there as a representative of the Dover Police Department. They are putting traffic counters throughout the town. They have more patrols out watching at dismissal time. And actually on the first day, they issued several tickets for speeding, illegal maneuvers, whatever they found. They suggested that in a lot of what we do, we're not to be vocal about what we're doing, that there are going to be officers placed over here watching, that they're doing this. The safety and security of all of our schools, Mr. Samini, is paramount, and that is also included in this statement, that there are things that they are watching, things that they are doing that we're just not going to be vocal about, because that is not what they're asking us to do. Immediately after our meeting, within 2 days, there was another accident on the corner of 15 in front of my house involving 2 students and another person. And the police came up immediately. I called Lieutenant Smith on his cell phone, told him about the accident immediately. So they're trying to tighten things up, and they are watching and doing what they can as far as town police on a state highway, which understandably is the state. So I just wanted to add that.
oh, that's great. Special education, I'm trying to remember everything, and it's hard to read my notes at this point. Special education, I would really appreciate it if you would give me a call tomorrow.
Is Sister Christopher's mom in the back? Is she still here? There you are. Yes.
Because I really would like to talk to you about that. I don't want to talk in a public session, but I do want to find out exactly what your concerns were and the perception of lack of inclusion. In terms of what we do for special education, you know, I look at it from one end, right? And I look at it in terms of the resources we're providing, what's there. But if you have an area that we're not doing well at, then I would appreciate talking with you and just hearing exactly what your concern is and what you have observed so we can address that. Like I say, public meeting, I'm not comfortable with that. But one-to-one, I would love to hear what your experience was so we can address it, because what you've explained is not acceptable, and we'll tackle that. So if you could do me the kindness to give me a call. You don't have to come in, we can just talk on the phone, but just let me know what you saw and what you thought the concern was, and we'll see what we can do to address it. Let's see, besides that, I think there's... Translation Oh, sure. Yeah, and that's another thing that's confusing, because we're very careful to have child study team members who are fully able to translate, the case manager. Because what I don't want to do is, even though we have secretaries in each building, the confidentiality should be such that you shouldn't have to deal with a third party doing translations. So I want to look into that and find out, have we provided, and if we haven't, why haven't we, since we've been very cognizant. In terms of special ed spending, there are a lot of different elements of it. Special ed kids deserve everything they can possibly get to give them a better future. At this point, we're spending a very significant amount of the budget on special education, which I'm not complaining about, but if we're not spending it wisely, in your experience, I want to know so we can address that. So I really sincerely would appreciate that. And I saved the best for last. Mr. Lane, thank you for asking about my salary. I have no trepidation in saying what it is. After 42 years here, I made $167,500. That's a very good salary, and I'm grateful for every cent of it. Many of our teachers, look at that as a tremendous amount. I know your salary is pretty good. And I want you to know that I appreciate and work very hard for it. What I wasn't too happy with is the reference to the fact of how else is this being padded? What are the other ways? And I want you to know for your edification so you can sleep better tonight. That I don't take their merit raises that are included in that salary. I don't take them. All right? I take the base pay. I take the $167,500. The first several years I worked under this, we didn't take a raise at all because I told the board if we didn't get test scores, I would not accept any additional money. As time went on, and a lot of people have different opinions, but there was the governor reduced all the salaries and then capped them. So I believe, I don't even know how long, 6, 7, 8 years now without a raise. So, $167 is a great salary. You've never heard me complaining about it. I'm not going to complain about it. Perhaps many areas they were paying way too much. There were people making $250,000. I've always looked at Dover as this is something that I've always wanted. I think you have to compare 167 for 42 years. And just so you all understand, it doesn't matter with the state formula if you're the first year in the position or 42 years in the position, that's the amount that's paid. Now, can they pay people lower? Absolutely. In reality, do they? No. So basically, a first-year superintendent with 10 years in education is making the same salary as somebody with 42. But you know what? My priority is to try to do what I can because of that podium and my experience here and my concern with doing the very best we can with our children. And to give Dover something to be proud of, as this room, I think, demonstrates. My priority hasn't been the salary. My priority has been doing the very best I can for the kids. So I hope that answers your question. I'm not going to shirk over it. It's a nice salary. I'm proud of it. I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful to the taxpayers, and I work extremely hard to earn every cent of it. So that's where we stand on that.
Okay.
Is there anything I missed? I tried to hit it all, folks.
I think we're good.
Okay,
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Becker, and thank you for coming out this evening, everyone. I will take a motion to adjourn, and also, after adjournment, I would like to request a second executive session in the boardroom with no motion and no action being taken. So we won't be voting on anything additional.
There has to be a motion.
I'd like to propose.
Wait.
I'd like to propose a motion to close this.
Don't close the meeting. We just make a motion to go into executive session.
I'd like to make a motion to move into executive session,
You have to state
please,
the reason to go into executive session.
to discuss personnel issues with no action being taken this evening.
Second.